right, everybody. How we doing out there? Doc Severson here with you with Ready, Set, Crypto. This is our new webinar series that we're going to be doing all about joining the One Bitcoin Club. So I think it's a great name, great purpose for what it is that we're trying to do. Welcome aboard, folks. We'll wait a couple of minutes here for everybody to get in the room, and then we'll get going with this thing. Love to know where you guys are coming in from today. Something we typically do on our webinars. We haven't done one of these for a little while here. So, yeah. Hey, Matt, how you doing? Martin, good to see you guys. Like to know where you guys are coming in from. Let's, I'll throw myself down in the left-hand corner here as we wait up here. All right. Hey, Paul, welcome from Virginia. Good to see you. I myself am coming in from beautiful Greenville, South Carolina. We got Matt from Indiana. We got Martin from Belgium. San Juan, Villa from San Juan. We got Dubai. We got Hawaii. We got Pakistan. Scorpion from Germany. We have MG Tau Guy. Rich Farrell's from Dallas. We got Sacramento. Here, MG Tau Guy. Alex from Alabama. Good luck to your Tide. I myself am back in the Buckeyes, so we'll see if we meet in a couple of weeks. Slovenia, Portugal, Poconos, Pennsylvania, the Alps out there. North Dakota. Hey, Florian, good to see you, man. Let's see who else we got here. Ghana, Texas. Everybody is all over the place. Good to see everybody on board here. I am going to get started here. Okay. We don't need this. So the One BTC Club webinar series, what I'm going to be doing over the course of the next few weeks here, and this may go on in perpetuity if it's well received, is I want to build something like this. If you guys know me, I'm a little bit fond of pyramids. So what I want to do is I want to take all the trading elements of Ready, Set, Crypto and do public webinars every week on these things. So for those of you that don't know a thing about technical analysis, we're actually not starting with this one today, but I will get around to this one. Then we'll go into short-term trading strategies. Next, we'll go into fractal energy trading. We'll spend a session on that. And then we'll get into trend trading as well too. And then we'll finish off the pyramid with options for income. That's actually what we're going to be talking about today. Options for income. And then up at the top of the pyramid is the crypto futures. If you guys are just joining us today, welcome aboard to the webinar series. My name is Doc Severson with Ready, Set, Crypto. We haven't done one of these for a little while, so thought we'd light one up at the end of the year and get this series started. So what everybody wants to do at this point, everybody's sort of figured out, well, hell, I guess BTC is the game here. How do we acquire more of this stuff? How can we do that? There's a lot of different ways to do that, right? You can trade futures to increase your gains. There's lots of different platforms that are out there where you can trade futures and earn gains on that, build them into BTC, swipe that BTC over to your pile and continue to accumulate, right? Down at the bottom of this, we have your basics, right? Introduction to technical analysis or understanding just the basic short-term trading strategies. Maybe swing trades will help you acquire more BTC. Fractal energy trading is more of a systematic way of approaching the markets and looking at that. And then trend trading is one of these things where it just sits in the background and you wait for the signals to come in and you just say, thank you very much, and you take those signals. But what we're going to talk about today is something not a whole lot of people know about. It's one of those sort of unknown secrets, especially in the crypto world. We've been talking about it here at Ready, Set, Crypto for about the last year and a half about options and what they can do. A lot of people, when they hear options, they just, blah, 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 blah. They don't want to hear about it, right? Because it's too complicated, or somebody told you a long time ago that it was too risky. But I think if you just give me 20 minutes for me to talk about what you can do with this one, because I don't want to make this complicated. I want to make this really simple. And I want to show you like the no-brainer way to acquire more BTC with options. Okay. Somebody's saying, every time I do a video, I crash the market. There is actually a precedent that every time I get on here and do a session like this, Coinbase goes down. So make sure everybody, like back up your Coinbase accounts. Make sure you're good to go. All right, let's get going. So using options to trade crypto, the simple way to multiply your money with Bitcoin. All right. So stick with me for a few minutes and we'll wrap things up. We'll take questions. Anything else you guys want to talk about? I'm not going to be long-winded on this thing. I'm going to get right to the point. So for those of you that happen to be Omnia members that are part of our service, I encourage you to watch the 17 May 2019 Trade School session. So if you don't know what options are and why to use them, if there's a lot of people on today that don't know what options are, what I can do is I can do another one of these series. I can go kind of back in time, slow down, and walk you guys through what they are and things like that. But if you're on our service, if you're an Omnia member, I encourage you to check out the Trade School session. That'll make more sense, or watch this one again, because YouTube's got that thing going. So in that Trade School, we discussed what is an option, how long instruments are used to control, how we can use time decay in our favor. We looked at a simple stock-based put selling example. So today I want to do something a little different. I want to go over a more focused application of what to do, what not to do with options if you want to accumulate more BTC. So what I'm asking you guys is forget about anything that you may or may not have heard about options, particularly through mainstream media, like options are risky or options are a way for you to exercise and control shares of stock or crypto. We don't use them like that. We don't use them like that, all right? First of all, what I want to do is the inverse. I want to tell you what not to do with options. Don't use options as a leveraged spot substitute. Please don't do this. A lot of traders get introduced to options, think of using a call option as, hey, I could buy a call option. It's going to be a leveraged spot substitute. It's possible to do, but you're eventually going to regret something like this, right? So you can read a lot of people saying, man, I only spent $500 on this call option and I made 200% returns. That is going to be more of the exception than the rule. Or you can control 1 BTC of spot currency by purchasing this cheaper call option, right? So if we look at this, this is Deribit, and I took this today. So what I can do is I can go out to the 29 January cycle. So this is about a month away, 29 days and some hours, right? I can control the gains and losses of 1 BTC for about $3,100 for the next 29 days. So if BTC continues to go up, instead of spending $28,000 on 1 BTC, I can spend $3,100. What a bargain, right? I can spend $3,100 and I can pretend like I have a whole Bitcoin. That's the way that most people think that you're supposed to use options. Don't do that. It will lead to bad results, bad thing, right? It can work once in a while, but generally over time, you will get your ass kicked doing something like that. This is always the scenario given. Very few retail traders successfully trade in this manner. So I'm not going to go into all of the guts and everything like that. We'll just say it's kind of like flying an airplane. The difference is like, flying an airplane versus driving a car. Cars move in two directions. You're going to go left or right, forward or backward. But all of a sudden, when you put a third dimension in there, it's not 1/3 harder. It's not 33% harder. I can tell you from experience, flying a plane is infinitely harder than driving a car. If you have problems figuring out what the hell is going on when you're up in a cockpit at 1,000 feet, you can't just pull over to the side of the road and like get your shit together, right? This is one of those things where it's like you have to be like way ahead of the airplane. It's infinitely harder when you add that third dimension, orders of magnitude. Same thing happens with options. You've got all of these things. I love this graphic here where it's kind of like a puppeteer controlling things with the different Greeks that are on here. And again, I don't want to confuse you with the Greeks. I just want to say that things don't move the way that you think that they do. with options. You need to find a way to make that move in your favor and not against you. Okay, so here's one of the things that can work for you and can work against you. When you own a long option like this, like a spot substitute, if you just buy a call option, it's like you're holding an ice cube and you're getting closer and closer and closer towards the fire. And the closer you get to that fire, the faster it melts. And so I've got 29 days. I spent $3,100 on that call option. It may not be worth crap. Like if the price doesn't go up violently, it's not going to be worth anything in a month. So it's very common to see a newer option trader enter a long position right when the price bounces, like something like this. The price is going up, price comes down, they enter a long position like this, and the call options, the price goes up, but the call option is not worth anything. So here's just my opinion. You guys can take it or leave it. If you want to leverage spot substitute, if you don't want to spend all the money on spot, if you want something more leveraged, then use a futures contract or a perpetual swap. Use that. It's kind of a sharp instrument for sure, right? So you don't have to use a full position there. Use a small one. It's a much better instrument to trade with fewer dynamic variables. So when we trade options, we have to put as many of those complex Greeks in our favor as possible. Trading the long options only does that to the downside with long puts. We're not going to be talking about that today. We're going to be talking about a strategy that works very well with our goal to accumulate more Bitcoin. And that's called selling cash secured puts. Okay. Some of you have heard of this called trading naked puts. That is not the correct terminology. So everybody gets a giggle out of it. Oh, naked puts, haha. But it's actually cash secured puts. And I like that name better because it implies that you have to have the cash for assignment. You got to have the cash for assignment. We only want to do this with an asset that we want to own. So don't trade this on some kind of crap coin or some kind of crap asset that you have no intention of owning down the road, using it as a swing trade. Only do this strategy on something that you want to own more of. Got it? Okay. So this is a great way to be paid for the pullback. Imagine this, if you will. Imagine this. Something's heading higher like this, and you say, I don't want to buy it up here. I don't want to ape in up here, which should be going through your mind today, especially today at 28,000. You don't want to ape into this position. You want to wait for some kind of a pullback. But imagine if you got paid to buy it on a pullback. If you actually got paid to buy it on a pullback. What do I mean by that? I mean, if you sell a put option down here, which is called out of the money. If you sell a put option down here, so I'm going to put a big S here for that means that sell. So I receive cash to get into this position, and I'm obligated to buy BTC, but only if it comes down to here or lower. So you can set this at a price. So if the price comes down to here and then bounces, takes off, guess what? I just got paid, even though I'm not going to acquire anymore. Price can go sideways, it can go up, it can go all over the place. Only if it comes all the way down by expiration date to this price or lower am I obligated to buy it. But guess what? I got paid either way. I just got paid to buy this at a pullback. So for those of you that are out there with a good till cancel limit order down there at a price, hoping, wishing, praying, genuflecting, please come down on the pullback so I can get paid. You know, it may or may not do that for you. And I understand why you would do something like that. And I've seen that work very well before. If you can identify a great place that it's going to pull back to. But why not get paid to do that? That's my point. So just a little bit of knowledge goes a long way with this strategy. All right, we got Rajith. How you doing out there? We got Outer Banks from North Carolina. Stayed in Duck a couple of years. That was awesome. And we got Tejas. Tejas is in the room. Okay, so only trade this on this strategy on uptrending assets. Please do not do this on something which is doing this. because you're going to be the proud owner of something which continues to go lower. So only do this on something that's trading to the upside. Finally, by God, we've got an uptrend that's, we've got a 3-year bear market that we're breaking out of. Like, this is a good chance that any dip is going to get bought. Yes. So let's talk about settlement for a minute. There's 2 methods of settlement that we have to understand. Hey, good day, Sydney. Cash settlement is European style options. Cash settlement means that there's no assignment. So you have to play this one a little bit different. And this is for you that are on Deribit. If you're on Deribit or any other non-US service that's using cash settlement like Deribit is, there's no assignment of the underlying spot coin at expiration. So you're not the proud owner. They're not going to force you to buy. All they do is they take the difference between the two, which there's some advantages to that, but I don't like it. The cash difference is calculated and left in your account. Now, you can still acquire BTC by trading profits through this. So again, remember when I talked about if you're selling down here and the price comes down to here and never gets down to this level, yeah, you're going to make some profits on there. Those are going to be in BTC. Congratulations, you're acquiring more BTC. Which broker is trading BTC options? That is, I'll talk about those in a second here. Good timing, good plant. Physical settlement, this is American style options, means that there is assignment of the underlying spot coin at expiration. That's not going to mean anything to you at first. The first time you read that, like, what is he talking about? But this is where you're obligated to buy it if the price goes down to that level. This would be somebody like Ledger X. So for the Yanks in the room, Ledger X is really your only choice right now. Ledger X. If you're outside of the US, then your options are probably going to be with Deribit. So Deribit is the big dog in the space. It's a 500-pound gorilla. Ledger X is a tiny little US firm. I don't know how in the hell they got approval to sell options. It seems like an impossible thing with the SEC these days. I don't know who else is out there. These have been the only 2 that have actually gotten any kind of market penetration. There may be other firms that come along, and if these guys are successful, there will be other competition that comes along. Okay? There will be other competition. Okay, so you can continue to sell puts on pullbacks indefinitely without being assigned. Using this method, I rarely get assigned. So typically what I'm doing is, I'm looking for things that are pulling back, and I'm setting this at the price that I want to be a willing buyer. And many times, if it's something that's accumulating, I don't get assigned, and it just keeps on going higher. And then I just keep doing it on the next pullback. You can just keep going and going and going with this. And either way, you're going to make money. So here's the method that I'm using. So first of all, determine the price that you'd want to be buying BTC at. Be reasonable. The lower you go, the less you're going to get paid. Determine how much capital that you're going to use to back the trade. I say don't use more than 10% of your capital for any one specific trade. So don't go all in on one trade. Don't go 50%. I use 10% at a time. I try to leapfrog these things, right? So what you can do is you can say, all right, I'm going to light up a trade for January. So maybe this is January. Okay. And then you can light up another trade a couple weeks later for February. And then March. And then each one of these, so you can have more than one in play at the same time. This is the leapfrog method. So what is the minimum return that I'll accept for tying up that capital? Now, I used to say 1%, but you can actually do much better than that. Typically these days for crypto, things like that, I'll go 3-4%. So pullbacks will give you a much better entry in credit. It just doesn't feel right though. The best trades are not going to necessarily feel good. So enter the trade, receive your cash, go straight into your account, and then you wait. You wait for that ice cube to melt. So at all times, I've got a get the hell out price at which I will liquidate the short put option prior to expiration if the price is below that. So again, if I've got an asset like Bitcoin going up, and if I've sold at this level down here, and maybe that's like 24,000, and if all of a sudden the price is like knifing through there and getting destroyed, if it's pulling a ripple on the price, right? Ripple is a great example where all of a sudden support does not exist, right? When the SEC is going after something like that. It's not going to happen to BTC, but if it would, you got to have a get the hell out price. Risk management means the difference between having a few good months and then blowing out. You got to stay in the business, guys. So once I do get assigned, what I can do then is, like if I were to ask somebody that just bought an apartment building, okay, congratulations, you just bought an apartment building. How many tenants do you have? Huh? What? Why would I have tenants? Well, of course you have tenants, right? If you have an apartment building, you're renting it out. Do the same thing with your Bitcoin. You can actually rent out your Bitcoin. So selling covered calls. Selling a call option allows you to collect income against your asset. You can rent out your BTC. Ideally, you're going to sell calls above your cost basis. Hey, Mark, good to see you. So if your cost basis is right there, ideally, you're going to sell calls way out here, way out of the money, right? So as long as the price stays below there, you're not going to be asked to surrender your BTC. We don't want that, right? So be very cautious about this. So what you can do is you can use fractal energies like this. When you see an exhaustion signal, like into a parabolic move, you can sell calls up here on this expiration. They expire, and then you go off and do the same thing up here. Sell calls above your expiration. Range expansion goes to range contraction. The calls expire. You go on and do the same thing again. I know I'm going super fast with this, guys. So selling calls is a bit trickier if you own the asset. If you want to continue to own the asset, I can't think of anybody in the room that wants to sell off their BTC. It's going to zero. I heard it on Reddit, right? You don't want to cap your gains and get called out, so you don't want to surrender that. So you have to be looking to sell into a parabolic rise, right? Which we're seeing right now. Like, when is this going to end? So there are many, many skills to learn before you should dive into this with a full position size. You can start off with very small micro contracts that are not going to obligate you to much, okay? If you have the means, learn the basic option strategies of cash secured puts and covered calls. Those are the first trades that anybody should learn, not the long call option, please. Manage your risk and they will serve you well. So let me go online. I'm going to show you guys a couple of examples. So I'm just going to pull over Deribit first. So here's Deribit. And so what you're going to see when you pull up Deribit, now, if you go on here and if you get something like this, this is like, you are a US customer. You cannot do anything here. We're not going to let you trade, blah, blah, blah. So I can't do anything with Deribit. So Deribit is going to do full KYC. So there's no way I'm ever going to get a Deribit account, right? Unless I move to Scotland. I've heard Edinburgh is nice. Okay, so what you're going to look at here, what all this is, what all this garbage is so first of all, these are the option chains. So first of all, there's BTC options over here. And each one of these is an expiration date. And the further out you go, like let's go to this one. Let's go to a year from now, 31 December 2021. Let's go out to there and let's see what we have. Okay, look at the options now. We have call options for 160,000. Wouldn't that be cool? But to control BTC at 160,000 is going to cost you $1,400. Okay. Now you could also take the other side of this. Again, this is a 365 days out. You could actually say, you know what? I think Bitcoin is going to be above 12,000. And if it ever got down to 12,000 again, I'd be a willing buyer. So you can actually sell the options down here versus one BTC for about, let's say, I'd say you probably get about $650 for that. Now, if you earned $650 and it goes right into your account, and if you're leveraging 12,000 against that, that means you're going to make a 5.4% return doing absolutely nothing for the next year. Try to find a 5.4% return doing anything else, right? So this could be something where just a portion of your cash, you just sit there and say, you know what? I think BTC is going to be above 12,000. Talk about passive income. You don't have to do anything. In fact, you get that income from day one, and it's your job to defend that position. So an interesting thing, you can make this as conservative as you want. So let's go with something a little bit more aggressive, let's say a month from now. Now, for us to answer this question, let's go out to the chart. Let's go out to a BTC chart, and let's look for some support levels. Okay, I'm seeing support levels at 20,000 and 24,000. Former resistance, bang, 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 becomes new support. So what we're going to have is, if the price ever gets down to 24,000 again, there's going to be a whole bunch of buyers down here just waiting to enter at that pivot. Same goes for 20,000. Right, so in this case, if you want to be more aggressive, you could say 24,000 would be my support level. So let's look at that. If I can get this window out of here. All right, so let's look at 24,000. So here's 24,000. We can, if we do this one, 24,000. So think about this for a second. If you leverage $24,000 of capital, now again, with Deribit or with LedgerX, you can go with micro contracts, but let's just keep it simple. Let's just assume that you have one BTC or $24,000 in your account. Okay, if I'm leveraging 24 grand, if I get paid, let's say roughly, just for grins, let's say it's an even $900 to enter that contract. Okay, 24,000 divided by that, that's 3.75% return goes straight into my account over the next 30 days. 29 days. Almost 4% return. So if you're a willing buyer at 24,000 on BTC, and if you're sitting out there with a limit order, good till cancel, praying, genuflecting, please come down to fill me. I want a piece of BTC, and yes, I'll pay 24,000 for it. Why wouldn't you get paid for that? Why wouldn't you take that 3.7%, which is just sitting on the ground, and pick it up and take that trade? Why wouldn't you do it? Because you didn't know about it before. That's why, right? So this is what you can do with something like that. All right. You can go out it even further. You can go out a month, let's say 2 months. And if you want to get paid at that $24,000 level for BTC, if you're convinced that it's going to hold a support, let's say that that's $1,500. $1,500. Okay. So what's 1,500 divided by 24,000? That is 6.25%. This is passive income, guys. You don't have to do anything. Once it's in there, as long as the price stays above 24,000, you do nothing. If the price goes below 24,000, depending on which broker that you use, you may or may not get assigned. Okay. And I would have a get the hell out price level as well too. So let's look at one more thing. So this is, if I can find it here, I have also LedgerX is another option that we have for this. So I've got to find LedgerX. Here it is. LedgerX is for the Yanks over here. So LedgerX is a slightly different interface. What you'll find with LedgerX is this has physical settlement, first of all, but you'll also find a lot fewer strike prices. It doesn't have the liquidity, it doesn't have the depth, and the spreads are a lot wider. So you're going to have to fight and claw and scratch for every nickel as far as your fills. Okay, but it's there. It's a tool. It can be used. The market makers are going to win ultimately on this, but this is a way for you to acquire more BTC by selling puts. Okay. All right. Okay, lots of opinions in the room. I like that. That's great. Just want to show you an alternative to what everybody else is doing. Says all this takes is just a little bit of knowledge for you to do very, very well with something like this. Okay. So if you're interested, if you want to know more about this, we're actually doing a sale on the Income with Options Masterclass that we have as part of this. I just told you basically everything that you want to know, but if you want to know more information, this is available to you. This is going to be on sale. If you go just to our website, you won't see this. You'll see it for $149. But if you go to this link, it's out right yonder, right there, readysetcrypto.com/options, you'll see the secret price here. So discount runs through this weekend. And guess what? Next week, we'll be talking about something else. So with that, my friends, if you want to ask any questions, I'd be happy to see what you got. Any questions on options or anything else that you want to see on the next session that we do next week? All right, let's see what questions we have. Let's see. Questions. Anybody got any questions here? So Elaine was asking which broker is trading BTC options. So right now I showed you two of them. One is Deribit. They were based in the Netherlands somewhere. I don't know if they still are. Maybe they've gone to some little offshore island somewhere. And the other one is LedgerX. LedgerX is US only. Deribit is the rest of the world, right? Okay. Any other questions today? Anybody else have anything else that you want to go over today? We're going to be going, okay. So you guys want to talk about coins. All right, let's take a look. I typically don't talk too much about, these days. All right, let's see. If we're going to go into crypto, symbol not found in crypto. So I don't know where this one is trading at, and TradingView doesn't find it right now. Will Ethernet outperform BTC in 2021? I have no idea. What does the price tell you right now? Right now, it's a two-coin market, and it's top 10 and like nobody else right now, guys. So, I mean, I've been watching the altcoins like forever, and as long as BTC is trading against the altcoins, or as long as you're getting the altcoins that have to trade against BTC, they're going to be going through a headwind. That is going to be a headwind. Hypersonic Crypto, this is a great question. Would you say LedgerX is riskier than Deribit due to the market makers winning more often? No, I wouldn't say it's riskier. You just have to know what you're doing, right? You have to know what you're doing. You can't just sit in, if you're going to sell a put option, you can't just enter it at the bid. What you've got to do is you're going to have to be patient. You're going to have to find a midpoint place in the middle here and just throw it out there and see if you can get a fill. Because what you don't want to do is get a roach motel. A roach motel is the one where you check in and you can't check out, right? So if you get into a position, and like all the time I see like people begging over here like, hey, anybody want to buy my option? Which is, poor form. You want to get something that you get at a good price and you don't want to regret that. So you're going to have slightly advanced skills to do something like that. You're going to have to negotiate. You're going to have to get in there and duke it out and not just hit the bid and pretend that this is an automatic. Well, Vlad, I tell you what, guess what? You don't have to attend the next one. I just gave away 30 minutes of free information on how to do these things, right? And if anybody wants more information on it, they can certainly click the button or just not attend. You guys do what you want, right? It's a free country. Thank you, Tony. What platform am I using? I'm not sure what the question is. Windows 10, right? So Hypersonic Crypto, I think that's a great question. I think that you just have to protect your interest. You have to fight and negotiate to get the best fill that you can. If you have 1,000 USD, how would you diversify your coins portfolio? I would say do what you can to accumulate more BTC. That's kind of the point of what we're talking about here today. So if anybody's been able to make money with altcoins lately, good luck. Right? It's just a different market. This is not 2017 again. Thank you, Crypt Trader. Appreciate it. Yeah, options are not as difficult as everybody makes them out to be, right? Daniel, not a question that I can answer. I don't do that. I trade, right? I look for assets to trade, and I trade. So I'm not your fundamental crypto guy that answer like, what's the value of Ripple going to be in 5 years? I have no idea. All I know is you can basically judge what something is doing by looking at the price. This is all I need to know is the price of the underlying asset. That's what the market thinks about the future of this particular asset. So you can answer that just with anything. If you look at Engine versus Bitcoin, that's what the market thinks about the future prospects of this. This is what the market thinks about the future prospects of Icon, right? You can look at anything like this and make a very quick determination. What do you think the market prospects of this coin is versus the other ones? I buy assets that are going higher. It's very simple. We tend to complicate this job, right? Trading is a very simple thing. The human mind tends to complicate it because we all come with our own cognitive biases, right? So it's our job just to be very clinical about something like this and just do what works. What is the open interest of trading like on BTC options? Early days. Let's see if we have any. That's a great question. Now here's the open interest. This is what Elaine is talking about. The open interest is these are all the options that are sitting out there, and these represent full BTC contracts. So you can see that there's only one person sitting on the 35,000 contract for December 31, which is tomorrow. So we don't care about that one. Let's look at something which is, that's 2021. Okay. So if we go to something more liquid like February 26th, we can see that we have a few hundred, or in the case over 1,000 contracts like at 25,000. That's pretty good. And the bigger the number, the better it is the market. The bigger the number, the better, the tighter the spread is going to be because you have more activity in there. So great question, Elaine. How do you rely on any technical analysis once a coin is in price discovery? Isn't it harder? It is, look, when I would say over the last 3 years, we've been able to operate on technical analysis with Bitcoin pretty well. It's really done very well in terms of like accumulation, distribution, things like that. It's been very linear in terms of how it moves. It has been anything but that in the last 2 weeks. You can't throw anything on here and get a good reading of it. So what you're trying to do is use tools to evaluate crowd emotion, and FOMO like this type of situation is the most difficult. I will take a crash any day to be able to evaluate a crash any day versus a FOMO move like this. You don't know where they're going to end. And if you think you know where they're going to end, what you're doing is you're getting pulled into that cognitive bias again. Hello from Dubai. Awesome. Okay. All right, I'll take one more question. Let's see, Daniel, I'm a bad trader. Okay. So just wanted to get percent the best place without trade, but see your great videos. Okay, cool. Okay. Any other questions? Last question, open here. And then once I take the last question, I will see you guys next week. Right? So we'll do this again. And if it makes, if you get some value out of this, come back and see me again. What is the best book to learn day trading? So Jules, what is the best book to learn day trading? So, there are so many out there, Jules. I don't think you really want to learn day trading from a book, right? What I think you want to learn from a book is what is a futures contract and how to trade a futures contract. You can learn that from a book, but as far as strategies and everything else like that, I wouldn't trade that based on a book. I would find something that works with today. I would look over somebody's shoulder. I would rent somebody's strategy, understand how to build your own, and then create your own strategy from that. I think it's a fairly elaborate process, but it's got to be something that your brain accepts, because trading somebody else's strategy will never work. So, okay. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate you guys showing up for today. Hope you had a little bit of fun. Maybe you learned something. And that's my hope, is that you learned a new skill that you can join the 1BTC Club. I hope to see you guys there. And I will see you guys next week. Adios, amigos. MF.